All right. Well, today we're going to go over 20 and 21. All right. So, chapter 20 is over restorative dental material. Restorative is a term in dentistry that describes the ability to remove decay or disease and bring it back to its proper function of the tooth. This can be accomplished by direct restorative or by indirect restorative. Aesthetic is a term that refers to restoring the tooth or teeth with the like. So aesthetic means how something looks aesthetically. Someone's teeth are very. They look really pretty to someone. But when we restore the tooth, so if there's decay, we have to remove the decay, but then we have to put the tooth back to its normal function. So that is what restorative. We're restoring the tooth back to its normal function, and also how it looked before, the aesthetic part of it. I have put on YouTube today some videos on amalgam, Johnny's favorite. So an amalgam filling procedure and also a composite filling procedure for y'all to watch. So the amalgam, Johnny, is what?
The silver filling.
Yeah. And Vanessa, the composite is the. Vanessa, you're on mute, baby.
What did you say?
I said the composite filling. What is that?
Um, is that the colored filling?
That's right, the tooth colored filling. Very good. Yep. All right. So on 318, there's a picture of an amalgam capsule. And if I open that capsule if I opened it up, there would be alloy powder. It would just be a powder. But then if I put it in a machine, a fancy machine, an amalgamator, and it shakes it back and forth, it activates the powder and turns it into a silver ball. So in the alloy powder, it's silver, tin, copper, and zinc. All of those is what makes up an amalgam filling. Those and mercury too. Mercury. But silver gives it strength. Tin gives it workability and strength. Copper gives it strength and low corrosion. Zinc suppresses oxidation. So all those silvers make up the powder, but then it makes up the amalgam. Well, the powder is the amalgam. But we activate it, and then it comes out in a little ball. And then he will use that to do the filling. Y'all will see the video. I could describe it, but once y'all get a visual, you'll understand. Okay. Not a lot of dental offices are doing amalgam anymore, just because it does have mercury in it. And people are afraid that they're allergic to the mercury. So, plus aesthetically, it doesn't look very pretty. A tooth colored filling looks a lot pretty than a silver filling. But not many dentists do silver fillings anymore. And also used to, there was a pretty good price difference, like a $50 price difference, and not so much anymore because most everybody does do composite. All right. With composite, when y'all start extern, that is the easiest procedure to learn how to assist on. That and extractions. But But with the composite, it's three things every single time. It's etch, bond, composite. Etch, bond, composite. So simple. And so what he does is he, of course, gets out the decay, and then he will put the etch, and the etch sits for about 15 seconds. The etch is that blue, it's that acid. He rinses that off, and then he's going to put bond, and he'll paint the bond on, and it's a liquid. And the bond acts as the glue for the composite. And then he'll hit the bond with the curing light, and then he will use either flowable or packable composite. Flowable, it's more of a liquidy. Packable, it almost looks like silly putty. Okay, and so and he might use both. If it was like a really deep filling for the base, he'll put the flowable, hit it with a curing light, and then he'll start doing packable. Now he's not going to take and put a bunch of composite in the tooth and hit it with a curing light. He wants to do it in layers. So he'll do a little composite, hit it with a curing light. Add a little more composite, hit it with a curing light. The reason for that is if he just filled it with composite and cured it with the curing light, that tooth would always be sensitive, like sensitive to cold. So that's why they do it in layers. But it's etch, bond, composite. So when you start extern and you see that there's like fillings on the board, ask if you can assist with the fillings. More than likely, when you first start extern, they're going to have you shadow the first day, learn sterilization, tray setups. Every office is different how they do their tray setups, okay, because it depends on the doctor. But what I suggest is once your assistant sets up for a composite filling, take your camera, take a picture of it, and then you can go home and study it and look at it and say, okay. And then the next day, hey, can I set up for this composite filling? Get out your phone and make sure that everything is out that you need. Now, the cool thing is most of your offices are going to be very organized. They'll have a bucket. And in this bucket, everything that you need for that composite filling is going to be in the bucket. The etch, the bond, the composite, polishing disc, everything that you need for that filling, for that composite, will be in a bucket. So you just grab the tray with the instruments that you need and grab your composite bucket. Very simple. So, but yeah, and you always want to make sure that you're going to pick a shade. Like if someone has really white teeth, you don't want to get out the wrong shade and get out like a dark shade. So there's what's called a shade guide, and that's one of our instruments that will actually learn. I don't know if there's a picture of a shade guide on the next page. There is. Turn to page 320. That's a shade guide. So the shades range from A, B, C, and D. Most people are in A2. With all this whitening out there, like whitening toothpaste and the crest strips, a lot more people are becoming A1. But used to, A2 was the most common shade. It's more of so your A shades are going to be more of like a yellow. And then your B shades are going to be where the enamel is more translucent. Like my teeth, my enamel is translucent. And so I'm a B1, which is super white, but it's just because my teeth are translucent. And then the C shades are more of a gray tone to the teeth. And then the D shades, that's more of like almost like a deep mustard. So anyway, But you will take the shade guide and you'll hold it up to the teeth and see what shade they are. And all the composite comes in all the shades that's on the shade guide. So if you need an A2, you would get out A2 composite. Once he gets done with filling the tooth, then he's going to and polish the teeth and finish shaping the teeth back to the way that they were. And then he's going to take what's called articulating paper. It's almost like carbon paper. They'll tap up and down on it, and where it leaves a blue mark on the tooth, that means that it's hitting too hard. So they'll want to adjust the bite. So that's very important. After they do the filling, they always need to adjust the bite. Because if not, when the patient is chewing, they're constantly hitting and bruising the tooth, and the tooth will start to feel sore and be sensitive. So, but they're numb, so sometimes they don't always bite up and down on that blue paper like they should. But after a few days, they'll call the dentist and it's like, hey, my tooth is hurting. And more than likely, they just need their bite adjusted. And that's free to the patient. Now, sometimes if a filling is really, really, really deep and it's close to the pulp, but the pulp is not exposed, if the pulp ever gets exposed, that's when they need a root canal. But if it's like a thin layer is right above the pulp, but the pulp isn't exposed yet, they might put a temporary filling in the tooth and let the patient wear it for a few weeks and see how they do. If the tooth starts hurting, then they'll have to go ahead and do a root canal. But after 2 and 3 weeks, if the tooth is okay, then they put a permanent filling in there. So and I'm going to teach y'all how to mix cement and how to make a temporary filling. And we will use a temporary cement and the temporary filling. It's a zinc oxide with eugenol cement. It smells like cloves, cloves, like it's